Okay.
Subjects on board. Leave the rest to us. Ik heb iemand met doodgewacht. Draai je net op onderzoek. Mooi. De CPF, begreep. Stuur iemand om onderzoek in te stellen. Hou je ogen open voor verdere activiteit. Uit. You got to extract him. That's the target. Subject on board. Leave the rest to us. He's coming too. Roger that.
Buddy!
heb die storie gehoord dat die bevind olieveld ongeluk nie 'n ongeluk was nie.
Jy bedoel die tankontploffing wat die fasiliteit in moord toegestuur.
Ja. En hulle sê iemand het 'n bom op die ding geplant.
Hoekom?
Wel, dit is nie al nie. Hulle sê SANR, die eienaars van die olieveld, bestaan nie eers nie.
Wat? Die CFA's gekontrakteer om aan te werk. Iemand het hulle wel betaal.
Presies. 'n Maatskappy met geen werknemers nie. Dit is kookte wat die werk aanstaan. Een ou. Hulle sê dat water en jas om. Dit is ja. Dis wat ons dan met die
Wat?
Later.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us. He's coming too. Roger that. Roger that. You gotta extract him.
Dat is CFD, begrijp. Wees op je uitkijkt voor die enige beweging. Uit!
on board. Leave the rest to us.
So this is Raven territory. I heard once that some indigenous peoples in Canada and Alaska deify the common raven as a totem.
You gonna extract him? Roger. Arriving shortly at LZ. This is B-Squad. On station at LZ. Gaining altitude. Boss, we have an emergency. Get back to Mother Base right now. I mean it. Hurry.
Happy birthday, may your skies stay blue. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, boss.
Happy birthday, Snake.
Happy birthday, Snake.
Happy birthday, boss.
Ever since the attack on your unit 9 years ago, the name Big Boss has become known the world over.
What do you mean?
Those of your men who survived traveled far and wide. They fought throughout the world. In fact, they're part of the reason we have all these PFs now. Every one of them suffered their own phantom pain from losing you. Talking about you wherever they went helped to heal their wounds. Your actions and words, your legend, has been told on every battlefield they've set foot on. Obviously, as the tales have spread, the truth's been distorted. Big Boss sacrificed himself to show us the threat that Cypher poses. He sounded a warning, so it goes.
A warning?
Too much power destroys the hands that hold it. Apparently, you chose to be a living example of that.
I never said any of that.
The moment any truth is passed on, it starts turning into fiction. The problem is, fiction inspires people more than facts. To the world, you're now the legendary mercenary Big Boss. The lessons you've taught the PFs are the reason they're so widespread. They're the reason they've survived. And you know what they all aspire to? To one day go nuclear, just like you did, and stand up to Cypher.
Of all the stupid things you could do.
They'll never understand what you really wanted. Heroes are misunderstood. It takes a man of the same caliber to understand what drives them. Bottom line is, these guys want to be like their hero, Big Boss. And deep down, they all have their eyes on nuclear weapons. They say that a nuke is the only means of standing against Cypher. But these days, it's becoming little more than a slogan to rally the troops and survive in a cutthroat business.
Currently, there are 3 major PFs who've expanded into Central Africa. CFA, Rogue Coyote, and Zero Risk Security. HEC's investigations have shown there's almost no overlap between their areas of operation. It's not so much a turf war, more like they have a gentleman's agreement. If you do cross paths with them, you probably won't have to face more than one at a time. Still, don't expect a walk in the park. The CFA, Contract Forces of Africa. These guys are a major player. Their head office is in Pretoria, South Africa. That's also where the South African Defense Force is headquartered. We think the two are closely connected. An HEC investigation revealed that most of the CFA's operators are former SADF soldiers. South Africa has been locked in struggles with neighboring regimes for years. That means constant action. And we know better than anyone that's the best kind of training. A company drawing its recruits from hardened military vets. You can bet they know how to handle themselves. Do not underestimate them. Within the CFA is a company of soldiers made up mainly of locally hired operators. They speak Afrikaans to communicate with personnel from the CFA. But if you notice any speaking the local language, that's them. Though hired from the local population, they were originally part of a paramilitary group, so they'll have plenty of combat experience. And unlike their days shooting junkyard rifles out of beat-up pickup trucks, the CFA now supplies them with the latest gear from the West. On top of that, they've been combat trained by the South African Army. All that adds up to a much stronger fighting force. So don't brush them off. Look at the Angola-Zaire border region. The east bank of the Munene River in particular. It's a microcosm of a problem that stretches all across Africa. There's a civil war going on in Angola, fought between the government MPLA and the Western-backed UNITA. Zaire is still a dictatorship under President Mobutu, but numerous uprisings have broken out in its remote regions. With all the trouble elsewhere keeping their hands full, neither government has control over their side of the border. They depend on militias and PFs, as do the rebels. Government forces, guerrillas, militants, groups of all shapes and sizes hawk whatever resources they can to hire PFs. Conflict brings PFs. PFs expand the war zone, and more conflicts erupt in a continuous chain reaction. Sounds like our kind of work. Mother Base could grow by leaps and bounds. Roger.
This is B-Quad. Arriving shortly at LZ. This is B-Quad. On station at LZ. Gaining altitude.
The man you picked up in Walla Yamasa is a top-notch gunsmith. We got plenty of work for him. But it turns out that he's just the apprentice of a so-called legendary gunsmith. Now, if this legendary gunsmith is all he's cracked up to be, we could really use him on our side. The apprentice gave us the whereabouts of his master. If you've got the time, go and grab him. I've added the details to your side ops list.
You called that thing Sahelanthropus. Where does the name come from?
Well, several years ago, an excavation team discovered a hominid skull in the Sahel region.
Central Africa. The Southern Sahara.
Cypher gave the specimen the name Sahelanthropus, Man of Sahel. And then they covered the whole thing up.
Why?
They probably wanted to monopolize information about human evolution to have a head start in their genetic research. At least, until they had an idea of what they'd found.
It was that big of a discovery, huh?
Sahelanthropus was a gracile hominid, estimated to have lived about 7 million years ago. What's significant about it is how its skull's foramen magnum faces down. In other words, its spinal column supported its head from underneath.
It stood upright.
Right. Which would mean Sahelanthropus walked upright 3 million years before Australopithecus.
There's a violent power struggle going on within the Contract Forces of Africa, the PF that ran security for the Mafinda oil field. Most of their key people are Afrikaners, but naturally for a South African organization, some of its founders are British. Details are sketchy, but apparently the Afrikaners are holding these British personnel for interrogation near Kaziba camp. We've been asked to rescue one of them, a man known as the Viscount. We don't have the Viscount's exact location, but he doesn't speak the Afrikaners' language, Afrikaans. They'll need an interpreter. Several high-level British CFA officials are being held by their Afrikaner colleagues. One of these prisoners is the rescue target, a guy known as the Viscount. The target's location is unknown. They're bound to have an interpreter present when they interrogate him. We've used info from the intel unit to predict the interpreter's location. It's on your iDroid. Follow the interpreter and extract the target when you find him. Kaziba camp. The Afrikaners are holding several British prisoners in different parts of the camp. The interpreter and interrogator supposedly go from place to place to conduct their questioning. The target is one of those prisoners. They're working for one of the bigger PFs, the Contract Forces of Africa, CFA for short. These guys are all business. Mercenary work is strictly about the money to them. Either way, they're no threat to us. Be careful not to draw the enemy's attention.
You saved us.
That prisoner you extracted wasn't the target, but we did get some information. Seems the prisoners aren't held together, and the cells and interrogation rooms are separate places. Captured an enemy vehicle. Just like weapons and items, you can use your iDroid to have vehicles you've extracted airdropped in. You can also let members of the combat unit use them on dispatch missions. So we can ID the targets. It looks like the target. That's not the target. Orders are only the Viscount gets rescued. Can't understand why he receives special treatment, but I don't imagine it'll be a problem to save the other prisoners too. Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
Stop him!
Target extraction confirmed. Get yourself out of the hot zone. By chopper or by land. It's your choice.
We can sure use that interpreter, too. Think you can extract him? Looks like the interpreter. No need to follow him now. How about you extract him and we'll put him to work for us?
Oppas! Je gaat door!
Hold him off!
Alright, that's the interpreter extracted. All you need to do now is exfiltrate the hot zone.